Spanish, and then just gonna get us started, Caleb.
Yeah.
Congrats on the win, Pablo. I know you've mentioned that the players are the ones that speak mostly after wins, if I remember correctly. What were the vibes? What were some of the messages that were shared after the game tonight?
Again, it was about this is who we are. We started the game with a great mindset. We were on the front foot. We played to our mentality. We didn't decide what the opponent was going to do. We got, some of the things I just talked about was finishing our chances early, but we were able to, overcome a really poor performance last week with a really sharp performance this week, and that should be our standard moving forward. So again, it's for me, it's always about mindset, and because the quality they have, it's the belief, it's understanding that if my teammate makes a mistake, I'm going to try to make up for it. And when you have 11 guys working that hard for each other on both sides of the ball, their quality shines through. And we got a great team. Obviously had a bunch of absences tonight, but those guys that stepped in did a fantastic job, and they were committed to the cause. So again, these moments are really important for a group, especially down the stretch, because every game gets tighter. Every team's vying for the same objective, which is to make the playoffs. But more importantly for me, it was about a reaction from last week. Because again, words are cheap. It's the actions behind the words that make it real or not.
You mentioned a couple absences there, and then a couple goals maybe left there in the first half on the field. Is there kind of a feeling that this team could have even, or can go even further, and is kind of hungry for even more than what we saw tonight?
I think so. I'd say the key to our game tonight was our the diversity in the play. I think teams are now scouting us, and they think everything's going to have to go to the pivots. It becomes really easy to defend that. So we have a couple different goal kick setups that we've utilized, and I think from the first minute, not oftentimes do we find our center backs playing balls into our forwards, and that is you got to have that. Because then you can find your pivot the next time, because then their pivots are screening the forwards instead of marking our pivots. But when we're so predictable, it's just easier. So I think what that lends itself to is a lot of moments where we were able to break. But even when we lost balls in those spots, we were able to repress because the group was more compact. And again, credit to the back line, because that's something that we focused on this week. We felt like the spaces between our back line and the midfield were way too big. So if we lost balls in front of our pivots, it was a counterattack every time. And so we fixed that part. The guys had a great mindset and created a lot of great opportunities. And now we just, these balls that we've been talking about all year, which is, from a central position, hitting our wing backs over their outside backs, were fantastic. Now we need guys crashing the box and finishing the play.
Pablo, congrats on the win tonight. Just talk us through the performance by Lachlan Brook and Javane Brown in their first ever starts for the club.
Yeah, I thought both of them were really good, really, really good. I think Lockie brings some really good 1v1 options. I think his timing of his runs were good. The only thing that he lacked tonight was his finish. But I think he got into some really great positions. And again, I think for both of these guys, fitness is a big factor. And what we're starting to understand is the demands of the physical work are greater here than they are even with teams within our league. And so that's where, Javane needs to get up to speed in that department, and he's committed to doing that. And I thought he played a really good game. He's been in this league for a few years now. I think his range of passing is really good. I think he's hard in the tackle. So on both sides of the ball, he brought a lot of value to the group tonight.
Congratulations on the win. Thoughts on your keeper position? Beavers had a standout game tonight. Is it still going to be keeper by committee?
I don't want to speak too soon, but again, I think last game really giving up a real soft goal early kind of changed the mindset of the group, and Gavin has been playing extremely well, and so. Again, the last thing I want to do is affect a player's confidence by making decisions that aren't the best for the team. And at the moment, today's game, Gavin came up huge on that one, or quite a few. And that's, for as much as we want our goalkeepers to be really good with their feet, they wear gloves for a reason. And we need to make a save. So, Gavin had a really good performance tonight. I'm sure that's going to fill him with a ton of confidence. It's our first shutout in I don't know how long, which is just as important as scoring goals. Because, again, as we head down the stretch, games get tighter. And again, I think Gavin had a really good game tonight.
How is the integration, the transition with the new signings coming along? A much better game than the previous game.
Yeah, I think the expectation is, from the outside, is that these guys are plug and play. But again, all these players that I think it's the first time they visited the United States, so they don't know anything about our league. They definitely don't know anything about Salt Lake. So there's so much transition that occurs away from the game that affects your transition into the team. And then we play a certain way, and the demands of what we want on both sides of the ball, it feels to me, are much greater than what they've been asked at their respective clubs. And so then they have to get to understand their teammates and their mechanisms of how do you build chemistry with that, and that takes time. So, it's going to take some time. But when you have Diogo playing the way he did tonight, Lockie playing the way he did tonight, and Javane, it's going to accelerate the integration process. But there's going to be lulls. It's just a natural part of it. But I think their mentalities are fantastic, and they're all excellent footballers. And that's why I really rely on the group that's been here to bring those guys along. And I think the relationship between the new players and the existing players meshed really well tonight. They were on the same page, and we'll just keep building on tonight's performance.
Last questions from me. Obviously, you have to replace Andres Gomez, and you're working on that in the integration process. Any concerns on the defense? First shutout since June, as mentioned, but there seemed to be a couple of free headers that New England had late that probably could have turned the game. Any thoughts on increasing defensive intensity, or you comfortable where you're at right now?
Yeah. Listen, I think defending the box is obviously the most difficult thing to do. Again, because there's no space behind you, and you have to. If you don't make plays in the box, you're going to concede goals. It's really interesting because there's moments where I think Baroni had a couple looks on goal. And again, when a player who's that big, tall, and robust gets those opportunities, the challenge is really not winning the head ball as much as it is making sure that he doesn't have a clean jump and a clean head. So we talk about, obstructing that, right? And I think for the most part, the guys did well. I think, again, sometimes late in that second half, we were more concerned about defending the box as opposed to defending the play. And so then we found ourselves defending the box, because if that's what you're concerned about, that's what you're going to do. So we'll look at some tape. But I think overall, the guys, and again, it requires the pivots to be in good spots. It's not just that. And then the communication in while the game's going 100 miles an hour with forward switching positions, I thought they did a good job. And I think, again, it's our first shutout in a long time. It'd be easy to sit here and nitpick, but I'm grateful for the back line who've been working extremely hard in that phase of the game to keep a shutout.
Coach, talk to us a little bit about, you mentioned this a little bit about the distribution out of the back. Tonight it was key in the way you guys played. Last week, not so hot. Was that a big game changer for you today, or something you guys worked on this last week?
Yeah, right after the game, I just said we've become too predictable, and defending is always easier than attacking. It's easier from a mentality standpoint, and when you give up cheap balls in and around your box, you get what you had last weekend. And so for us, it's really now throwing a wrinkle into making teams that scout us go, well, they can do this, but they can also do this, and they can also do this, and they can also do this. And now we're 8 months into this season. Our game model doesn't change, but the options ahead of the ball change. And so when you have Javane playing a ball into Ando, now the only reason that opens up is because their pivots are marking our pivots. And so now what happens? Well, then their pivot has to screen the 9. So what does that do? Now you go into our pivot. And again, it's allowing the players to make decisions of what they see, as opposed to keep going down this road of this is no matter what. And again, the nerves get greater at this point of the season. And when things don't go your way, what plan B do you have? And so I think they did a great job of mixing up the decisions that they made on the ball. And when it didn't go our way, we were at least in good positions to then repress and re-win the ball.
When Dominic Marchuk came in, it looked like he was playing a little bit wider than Lockie was. Is that something that you guys directed him to? Is that his natural inclination, do you think?
That's a great question. That's naturally what he's inclined to be and wider. And, I think Bodie's positioning was maybe a little bit too wide, which didn't give a good angle into Dominic. So ideally, we want Bodie to be able to play that ball into Dominic at an angle as opposed to down the straight line. So I think it had an effect on Dominic being so wide.
That said, first time seeing him in a match in MLS, what'd you think of his first 30 minutes?
Yeah, I thought it was good. He's another young man that's come a long way to be with us, and he's had probably 4 training sessions with us, and it's going to take some time. So we got to keep giving him confidence. He's going to come. He's going to come good. He's a fantastic person, a willing learner. He's got some really great stuff, 1v1, and he works his tail off defensively. So I think it's just a matter of time before he breaks out. And again, oftentimes we look at Andreas, and it took him a whole year to get to where he got. And so, again, it's patience, it's work, and it's belief in Dominic and the work that he's capable of as he integrates into the league. But he's going to be a great player for us.
Caleb, you good? All right. Thanks, Pablo.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Señor, ¿cómo está? ¿Listo?
Gracias.
Anderson, por acá. Felicidades, y te ve sonriendo. Te encontraste con el gol y sigues sumando.
He just looks happy. How does it feel to have scored?
Amigo, muchas gracias. Sí, la verdad que esto es algo que se necesitaba para el equipo, para un envión anímico, que venimos de un resultado no positivo. Y llegar a un resultado positivo hoy es algo motivante para lo que se viene. Y bueno, y para mí también, para seguir sumando uno más en goles. Y nada, muy feliz por el equipo porque le dio todo y tenemos que seguir por esa senda y para estar en lo más alto y poder entrar en playoff.
That he's very happy that this is something that the team really needed after last week's really disappointing performance, and that it's motivating to keep doing what they're doing. That he's happy to get another goal under him, but that this is needed to continue where they want to go going into playoffs.
Se fue Andrés Gómez, no jugó Chicho, jugadores con quienes conoces bien, con quien te puedes comunicar bien en español, en tu idioma. ¿Cómo está ahora la relación iniciando con tus nuevos compañeros?
So Andres and Chicho are no longer playing, didn't play tonight, and then you're having a bunch of new faces around you. Not being able to communicate them as well as you were, Andres and Chicho, how are you thinking that things are going between them?
Chicho, un gran jugador, como ustedes ya lo han visto, ha venido demostrando, un goleador del equipo, de la liga. Pues bueno, mala suerte que no pudo estar hoy en este juego. Pues bueno, tenemos compañeros para poder suplir esos huecos que dejaron algunos compañeros como Andrés. Triste porque se fue y al mismo tiempo muy feliz por todo lo que él hizo acá en el equipo. Él dio todo por el todo. Bueno, el primer año que llegó sabemos que no le fue tan bien, pero este año la rompió. Para eso es lo que se está trabajando, para ir a Europa. Eso es lo que todo jugador sueña. Y hoy le tocó a él, entonces yo muy orgulloso de él, muy feliz porque la verdad tiene una gran relación, era como un hermano para mí, y nada, entonces tengo que apoyarle hoy en día donde quiera que esté. Con los nuevos compañeros, la verdad que de a poquito nos hemos ido adaptando, a pesar de que no hablamos el mismo idioma, pero en la cancha uno como sea se comunica y dentro de la cancha nos tenemos que entender.
That with Chicho being out tonight, it was unlucky, but they have teammates that can step in and fill that void, even though he's a great player. For Andres, he's obviously very happy for him, very sad that he had to leave, but it's always a player's dream to go play in Europe, so that he's very happy for him. And that for his teammates inside the pitch, you don't really need a lot to communicate that they figure out a way, but they're working on it to adapt to each other.
Por último, felicidades otra vez por el gol. Y Houston se ha convertido en una piedrita en el zapato de Real Salt Lake en ocasiones importantes. ¿Cómo enfrentar hasta Houston? ¿Tienes algo especial dentro de ti ante este próximo partido que es de visita? Gracias.
So Houston has been a problem for RSL in the last few important matches. How do you go into next match? Do you do anything to prepare special for a match against them?
Nada de especial, como todos los partidos. Sí, sabemos que últimamente Houston nos ha complicado bastante, pero nada, tenemos que ir con la misma mentalidad de siempre, hacer nuestro juego. Y a pesar también de que hay un clima muy difícil allá, tenemos que ir con la mentalidad de sacar un triunfo, nada de empates. No nos podemos permitir perder otro juego más, porque si te pone a ver la tabla, el que nos sigue nos tiene ahí pisados ya los talones. Entonces tenemos que ir estos partidos que nos quedan, sacar los 3 puntos, lo máximo que se pueda.
Nothing special. That yes, Houston has caused a few issues for RSL in the past, but that they have to go in with the same mentality that they've been having all season. That in these last few matches of the season, they can't afford to give up points because it's so tight in the table. So that they have to go into the mentality of winning, no draws or losses.
Julio, preguntarte un poco sobre el gol. Muchas veces los delanteros siempre tienen que estar mirando a la pelota, pero hay veces hay situaciones en las cuales se distraen o piensan más en la jugada que acaban de dejar ir, pero ¿cómo nos describes tú ese gol que fue una viveza tuya y que sobre todo te ayudó a abrir el marcador ya al final del primer tiempo?
How would you describe scoring that goal, getting it right before the half?
No, como tú me dices, fue una viveza porque ya varias pelotas los defensas de ellos jugaron hacia atrás. Entonces yo vi la distancia correcta para poder atacar esa pelota y el pase tampoco fue tan fuerte, y más que todo se fue quedando. Cuando vi al portero, vi que el portero, no sé, se confió, pensó que le iba a llegar primero. Pues bueno, ahí está la viveza y bueno, y feliz por abrir el marcador y ese gran triunfo del equipo.
He had been noticing the defense playing the passes back, and he noticed that the goalkeeper got comfortable thinking the ball was going to get to him and that he measured out the space correctly, and obviously just happy to get that goal.
La temporada pasada tú empezaste siendo titular, luego llegó Chicho, fuiste a la banca, pero te daba muchos minutos Pablo como un revulsivo entrando en el segundo tiempo y anotabas goles también. Muchas veces los que no somos futbolistas nos preguntan qué prefieres, ser titular o meter goles saliendo de la banca. Yo preferiría meter goles, pero ¿qué es lo que piensas tú con respecto a eso? ¿Te gusta entrar de cambio ya más fresco y poder agarrar a los jugadores más cansados? ¿O qué es lo que tú esperas hacer en el momento en el cual Pablo te dice qué es lo que tienes que hacer?
Aquí
So last year you started a lot. This year with Chicho's arrival, you've kind of came off the bench a lot more. What do you prefer, starting or coming in the match? Like coming into the match with tired players, or what effect do you want to have on the game when you do start?
la verdad que todo jugador trabaja para ser titular. Yo creo que nadie trabaja para ser suplente. Pero hoy en día Chicho está en un gran momento y tengo que siempre dar lo máximo, sea que me toque de inicio o entrando al segundo tiempo. Muchas veces cuando entro siempre encuentro más espacios, ya le encuentro al rival como que más cansado, porque cada vez que viene un equipo y está perdiendo hay más espacio en la parte de atrás. Entonces eso es lo que me pide Pablo, que siempre trate de aprovechar los espacios que el rival deja. Yo creo que la mayoría de mis goles ha venido así, entrando de la banca y Y pues bueno, para mí siempre la misma mentalidad de que venimos teniendo, trabajar al máximo y darlo todo, sea desde el banco que me toque entrar o sea de titular.
Every soccer player works to be a starter, not to come in as a sub. But with the season that Chicho's having, it's understandable. That Pablo always asked me to just come in and make a difference. And obviously, with tired legs on the other team, there's always more space, and that's what Pablo specifically has asked me to exploit. And most of my goals have come off the bench.
Ando, buenas noches. La última vez me platicabas acerca de tu meta y sigues anotando después de decir esa meta. Estamos más cerca de tu meta que lo que estabas antes. La mentalidad en ti ha cambiado mucho y ¿qué crees que te ha dicho Pablo o tú te has tomado esas riendas en cambiar tu mentalidad?
Last time we had talked, you talked about like a goal, like having a goal set amount if you wanted to score. But how does it feel now that you're closer to your goal? Has Pablo told you anything in specific to kind of boost your confidence?
No, creo que la mentalidad uno tiene que cambiar y estar siempre al 100%. Estoy más próximo a la meta que te dije, que eran marcar máximo 10, 12 goles en la liga. Pues bueno, estoy ahí. Si quiero 10, estoy a 3 goles. Entonces, tengo que seguirme superando. Tengo que seguir trabajando para eso y ser un poco más constante en estar un poco más metido en el área. Y bueno, yo creo que no tener mucha prisa, ir con calma. Y yo creo que las cosas se van a llegar en su debido tiempo y nada, y seguir esperando a ver si llego a esa meta.
So I just got to stay with the same mentality, get more focused, be more in the box more. He's closer to that 10 to 12 goals as he was previously, but that he's just no rush, that things will come with time.
En las últimas dos, te quería preguntar que Pablo comentó que ahorita quieren evitar ser más predecibles como equipo. ¿Qué crees tú que puede cambiar o qué tenemos que hacer como jugadores para que no sean tan predecibles? Y la segunda es que a lo mejor te vimos un poco frustrado hoy a salir y por qué se debería esa razón.
Pablo had talked about being a little bit less predictable. What do you think you guys as players can do to cause that? And how did you feel coming off the bench? Because you're coming onto the bench because you looked a little frustrated.
¿Cómo fue depresivo en qué?
A Pablo ha comentado que ahorita hay como equipos que ya lo están viendo porque se han vuelto como poco predecibles en la manera del juego. Entonces él dice que hay que cambiar y añadir nuevas cosas, ¿verdad?, en el equipo. Entonces, ¿qué tú crees que hay que añadir en el equipo para no ser tan predecibles y especialmente que se vienen los playoffs?
Eso se va dependiendo el rival que sea también. Se va cambiando las cosas en cada entrenamiento. Uno va viendo el análisis día a día. Entonces yo creo que a raíz de eso, para que ya los rivales, digamos, no nos tengan tan identificados, creo que a raíz de los entrenamientos vamos a cambiar muchas cosas. Entonces tenemos que esperar primeramente cómo el rival nos va a jugar y de ver también lo que nosotros tenemos y después de eso salir con sorpresas.
We have to kind of look at what the opposition is going to play and obviously focus on what we're doing. We want to keep the same structure, same mentality, but obviously come out with a few surprises.
Gracias, Dando. Felicidades.
Gracias. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Gracias, señor.
Are you going to start in English or do you want to pass it around? Gavin.
She's awesome. Oh my gosh. What's that? No, I think they're dummies actually.
Oh yeah, it's mine.
These?
Oh yeah, mine too.
If you want to get started, Jimmy.
Yeah. Gavin, congrats on the clean sheet today. It's the second of the season, I believe. We were looking at your stats, and you have started in 5 games, make 22 saves. One of them was a penalty, and this is your second sheet today. How does that feel to have those stats this season?
Yeah, no, it feels great. You know, obviously there's still a lot of work to be done, you know, and there's still a lot left in the year. So I think just taking it one game at a time, you know, and continue to, you know, do what we've been doing in training and, you know, just keep going.
And not to be critical, but we have noticed that maybe your footwork lacks a little bit. What do you think you can continue to do to keep that footwork going?
Yeah, no, I think, throughout the year it's progressed, but there's always, like I said, more work to be done. Me, Mirza, Zach, Tomas, continually work, throughout the weeks and, prepare for every team differently. So I think just, taking it one day at a time and, continuing to just work on the little things.
Thank you. For Philip, today was your second goal in the season. The last time you scored was, again, off a corner in Columbus. How does it feel to be scoring again?
Yeah, it was nice. But, yeah, like I've said, the most important thing, got back to winning ways, got the 3 points, and kind of got back to our identity as a team. So, whatever I can do to help us do that is what I need to do. And today that was adding a goal, which, yeah, feels good.
Awesome. We saw that after the goal, you felt a little more confident with the ball on your feet, moving around, giving directions so people where to go. So I guess my question is, with that being said, were you kind of like talking to Justin Glad who was going to take which side to the lead, or you just kind of took that upon yourself?
I think, the game has ebbs and flows. So I think one thing we talked about this week and emphasized this week was playing the full 90 minutes and having each other's back. And so I think given how difficult these games are, everyone needs to step up in certain moments. And so I don't think necessarily the goal changed anything for me. It was just when the opportunities were there for me to kind of take more direction, I stepped into that. But it's obviously really easy when you have a guy like Justin next to you and a guy like Gavin behind you. So for me, I feel confident out there and comfortable out there playing alongside those guys.
Gav, congratulations on another clean sheet. What I noticed when you got the man of the match, the first person hugging you when you got off the podium was Zach. Can you talk a little bit about the goalkeeper union step? Backing each other up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to help the team in whatever way we can. And throughout the week, he's been great. And, Mirza, we have a great goalkeeper group. And, I think it's one of those things, we have a great relationship. And he's helped me out, telling me things at halftime of little things to, maybe see and look for, which is super helpful. So I think, it's always nice, to know that he has my back too, and we're both trying to do the same thing for the team.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Philip, next time you score a goal, I'm assuming it's going to be in 2 weeks at Houston, the way you're shooting with that left foot. Are you going to have a special dance or celebration plan for us this time? You look a little unsure of what to do when that hits the time.
Yeah, honestly, that's I guess that's how it goes when you only score a goal a season. So kind of just black out a little bit when it happens, and then by the time you come back into it, the moment's passed a little bit.
So congrats on the win for both you guys. So obviously going into an international break, what's the mindset going into this international break, and what's something that both of you guys need to improve on, or as a team as a whole?
Yeah, I think, having this break is a good thing and a bad thing. I think having this game, we got back into our rhythm, I feel like. We had the intensity from the start, and, we knew that we wanted to win the game. I feel like that's kind of been lacking in the last couple games, of just those reactions, and, it's been a little bit lackluster. But I think this game, we really, put our foot down. And I think going to this week and, the next week after that, preparing for Houston, is just continuing to work on the little things, that we see in this game and we've seen in the last couple games, right? And just continuing to improve and work. I think for me personally, I think my feet continuing just to work on those. And I think, just trying to get into the best rhythm that I possibly can. I think being a goalkeeper, it's about rhythm sometimes. And I think just continuing to find that is important for me.
Yeah, I'd echo what Gavin said. I think for us, we felt a lot better with the performance we had tonight and felt like it represented our identity as a team a lot better than the last few games have. So I think it doesn't matter, if we're playing next weekend or if we have next weekend off. Our goal is to step on the training pitch every day and have that identity show. And so I think, this is a great time for us to get back to training as a group. We have a good stretch. We can put together some good training sessions and make sure that we're being even more consistent, and that next time we step on the field, we show out the same way we did tonight.
What's it been like these last few weeks, bringing in some new players? I guess at your position, Philip, maybe some more competition in the defense. What's it been like just as a team, I guess, kind of figuring out where guys fit best and trying to earn some playing time as well?
Yeah, it's been great. I think that's what you want as a player. I think you want to be able to compete every day, and you want to have a challenge in front of you at all times. And I think the great thing about the people we brought in is that we all view it the same way. We all respect each other 100%, and because of that, it translates into great competition on the field. And we know we each have to give everything we have to earn that playing time. And I also think it shows a lot of depth in the group. Like tonight, a decent number of changes from last weekend due to various reasons, and we were still able to play it the way we want to play. So that's really exciting as a player and as a team to know that we have a group of guys who all share this common goal and identity, and it translates to the field.
You guys both kind of mentioned getting back to winning ways tonight. This is how you guys want to play. First clean sheet in a couple months for you guys. What was it particularly about tonight that felt different, that was going better for you guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball?
No, I think having Phil, J-Glad, the whole team, did their job. I think I didn't have a whole lot to do as far as saves go. But just having them in front of me, and everybody worked hard tonight. Everybody did what they were supposed to do, and I think that in turn, kind of helps us, get the clean sheet that we've been lacking, for a couple months now. But I think we got to keep pushing and keep doing the same thing, that we did tonight, and it was a collective effort, at the end of the day. So I think that was the most important thing.
Sweet.
Anyone else?
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Dope.
Thank you.
Guys.